Caitlin, I have a big
Hi.
question for you to start the episode.
Okay.
Who is Luke Eggebraaten?
I am excited to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. So we actually have a guest today. His name is Luke
Yes.
Eggebraaten, and I appreciate the phonetic spelling in the notes, Zach. That's heads
I
up for
know.
that
I
one.
was really, really pumped about that. That was something I asked for a couple episodes ago, and I was like,
Yeah,
how do you say this person's name?
yeah.
Because
Zach
I don't ever want
producing
to be that
hard.
jerk that's like wrong, and then you mispronounce, and then you feel like an asshole. I don't want to be an asshole. So
Yeah, well,
I'm
I
excited
don't either.
to learn more.
Yeah,
And
so Luke has his own marketing firm, has a lot to do with dirt. So we'll get into that and what that's about. I mean, you want to talk niche? Like
the
when Zach
jokes
was
just
talking
like
about
write
this,
themselves. I
we
know.
probably need to be careful because, I mean, we're going to get an explicit anyway, but we don't want to go too far.
No, I mean, I was just like, we're gonna dig deep. We're gonna
Oh, okay,
really
got it.
uncover some stuff. We're
The
gonna,
metaphors,
get
got
to
it.
the bottom of, yeah,
Okay.
there's just like a lot of puns available. So
Perfect. So
that's
yeah, so
all.
Luke has Phaser Marketing. It's a construction marketing company. He is based in Arizona, and we were doing some talk. He's lived in Omaha, so we were talking about some things earlier, and we'll probably get into that a
I
little
feel as
bit.
though I detected like a Dakotan lilt maybe
Oh,
in the accent. So I feel like maybe
Minnesota.
there's a okay, okay. I look forward to peeling that apart a little bit
Yeah.
because that's
Well,
my specialty. The six
it
degrees of the
is.
Midwest
Like,
separation, I
wait,
think.
I heard an oot. Where are you from?
Hmm.
Canada, Minnesota, Dakota?
Yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah.
Luke, he's going to talk to us about his business journey, and his niche is the excavation industry. So,
Yes.
like, I don't know, deep in a hole there. I don't know. There's some metaphor
I
there, but
told
I'm
you
lost. I'm
there are so
lost.
many opportunities.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and how he's been successful and like why. Like I want to ask because being somebody who owns a marketing company, like why the hell would you do this? Like I don't
Yeah.
know if I would do it again. I probably would. All right.
His young niece
Uh,
got some opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Our cocktail today is quite sturdy, which I think is necessary when you're talking construction.
Oh
But
yeah.
a scotch and soda, like this is not for the faint of heart. So
No, but it
maybe
is
that's, neither is
easy.
owning an agency. Yeah, super easy. Right.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think the soda water, the important thing to note here is like, why would I water down my whiskey? And it's like some people don't, or my scotch, scotch, whiskey, bourbon, we could get into all that too. For me,
The
they're all the same
rectangle and a
thing. They
square.
all taste like wet hay, and I have no desire to have any of them. But the soda water does actually bring out the aroma of the whiskey or the
Hmm?
scotch. A little bit less of a burn going down. Makes it a little more refreshing, a little more chill.
Well, it's a cocktail as opposed to
A shot.
like a yeah, or like I don't know, I feel like a whiskey neat is like it's a cold weather drink, and a
Hmm.
soda, you add a soda to it, now it becomes a summer cooler, right? It's
Well,
something
there
we
you
can
go.
enjoy when the temperature gets a little
Which
warmer.
is
So
great because, as you know, Caitlin, we are in the, oh God, we're having a blizzard. Oh, it's 80
is
degrees.
it
Oh, we're having a
have we
blizzard.
reached
Oh, we're 80 degrees.
is it second spring? Are we in the second spring now?
It might be
I've
second
lost
spring,
track.
but
I think it's second spring.
it's still not going to stick as we have the winter
Yeah.
weather advisory
Was
for
it
tomorrow.
yesterday I woke up and I looked out the window and I was like, what? Why? I was
Hmm.
so confused because it's snowy and windy after it
Hmm.
was
Oh
literally
yeah, you
like
guys got
70
snow up
degrees last
there.
week. Yeah, it snowed.
We didn't
And
get
I
snow
looked at my child and I
yesterday.
was like, Dorothy, what happened? She's like, I
Yeah,
don't know. It's it's too chilly out there, she
it
said. And I was
is.
like,
It
great, we're
is.
keeping our pajamas on. We're not going anywhere.
All right. Well, I feel like this is an easy one, but do you want to run down how to
I
make a
do.
scotch
Yes,
and
2 ounces of
soda?
scotch. So there's a shot of scotch, club soda, to your preference, I think. And you can optionally garnish with a lemon twist. And I really hope that we don't have to shake. You can stir this, but you don't really have to. Just put a straw in it and
I usually, so when I do like a gin and tonic, which is pretty much the same thing, gin, tonic, garnish, done.
yes.
We have the big craft ice balls in our
Yeah,
freezer, like our
just
freezer
give it a
makes
little
those.
spin.
So like, yeah, I pop that in there and then just give it a little dunk and spin it
Yeah.
around, and that
Yeah.
stirs my drink for me.
I
That's got to be
have
the. Easiest
I
cocktail
think
we've
it
ever
might be the
done.
easiest recipe we've ever done. Um, I have taken to ordering my G&Ts with the lemon twist,
Hmm.
and people don't. They're like, "You want what now?" Like they get very confused when I don't want like
Why?
Bombay. I'm like, "No, I would like a Hendrix and tonic with a lemon twist." And they're
The
like,
lemon
"Could you
twist seems
just order?"
normal to me though. Like,
It's G's and T's usually come with lime. It's usually
oh,
lime,
okay, I guess.
which is not my
Oh,
preference. Tell me.
I bought mango because I sent you that
Yes,
photo.
yes,
I
yes.
found a lime. So one of my meal kits that I didn't eat had a lime in it, and it's still good. So I'm pretty sure I just need that and tequila, and well, I have Cointreau as well, which I think goes in there.
You
But
can make
I'm gonna,
last week's
I'm 100%
beverage,
making a
a
mango
mango
margarita
marg.
at some point.
I love
Um,
this.
all right. Well, I think that's kind of does it.
That covers it, doesn't it? I think we should try and find you a scotch and soda that you would drink. I think we should do a taste
Ooh,
test.
so I have done a bourbon and ginger.
That's
That I
not the
was okay
same.
with. No, it's not the same at all,
I
but
was
I
like,
was okay
that's
with that.
totally different.
No, my friend Steve worked for Angel's Envy for a very long time, and so
Oh,
he
yes.
knows. I've known him forever, like since we were like teenagers, basically. But he knows I don't really like the brown liquors. And so since
Hmm.
he was repping it, his number one thing was like, he's like, I'm going to get Johnny Walker Blue. I'm going to get Johnny Walker Black, Red, whatever. Like, I'm going to get all
Yeah.
these different things for you. And he brought me a ton of them, like what Glen Morangi or something like that. And
Yep.
like a whole bunch of
That's
them.
scotch, though. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were a couple that I liked as a cocktail, but sipping, no.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we
Let's
answer
bring
that
Luke in and
question?
let's talk about it. Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with Luke.
Shoulda,
All
coulda,
right.
woulda. Am I
I
right?
know. All the good stuff happens during the break. Not really. We'll have good stuff here too.
No.
So, hey, Luke, welcome.
Rich, Caitlin, thank you guys so much for having me here. And
Oh my
huge shout out to
gosh.
Zach, your guys' producer. He's been so awesome to work with.
Ah,
Yeah,
we
that's
love
good.
that.
Good to hear.
That's
We
pretty
sort of forced
fantastic.
Zach to become a producer. He was like, I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested in this. And so we're like, great, figure out how to do a podcast.
That's Can you make a
Um,
podcast? Make it.
sure. Okay, so Luke, the important question from the beginning of the episode is who are you? Can you tell us a little about yourself and your journey?
I would love to. And before we get started, I also brought my own beverage of choice. So I'm
Perfect.
currently doing 75 hard, so no alcohol. But I've been on these athletic brews. I don't know if you guys have had these. They're
Hmm.
non-alcoholic beers. This one's Free Wave Hazy IPA, and it is incredible. So get a
Oh,
little
nice.
Oh, we need a
Oh,
little.
little
oh,
ASMR pop there,
That
but
was nice.
yeah, super excited to be here with you guys. Can't thank you enough. We've got a lot of connections. I'm realizing too. My wife and I used to live in Omaha, and my wife went
mhm.
to UNL for college as well.
Oh my gosh.
So has a, Nebraska has a place in my heart for sure. But backing up a little bit more, we're both from Minnesota. So we grew up, born and raised northern Minnesota in Detroit
Mhm.
Lakes and Hawley. And then I went to college in Mankato. She went to UNL, and that's where I studied. Actually, I got my degree in sport management. So not a
Oh,
whole lot
okay.
about what we're talking
Sure.
about
Doing
today.
that right now, no.
Yep, exactly, like everyone's degree. And
Honestly.
um, got
I
a
mean,
got a minor in
mine.
marketing, right? And so started to dip my toes into marketing and business, and moved down to Omaha for a few years and started working managing a digital marketing agency at my full-time job at an orthodontic practice, and really just
Hmm.
fell in love with that world. Specifically, this agency I got to manage was they only worked with orthodontists and oral surgeons, and so
Okay.
they made my life easy. We paid them a lot of money, but they were so personable. They were out in California, so we didn't even know them personally, and it just made me think like, man, I would love to start my own agency one day. And 2019, October 24th, I'll never forget it. That's when I got my LLC papers back and
Oh, nice.
started Phaser Marketing from there.
Nice. Yeah. And so
Cool.
you were exposed to niche like niche agencies like from the get-go.
Mhm.
See, I was at broad, big agencies who were like, we do
Yeah.
everything for everybody, which is a load of crap. Nobody does everything for everybody.
Yeah. And if you do, you can't do it well. And I'm sure we'll talk about that here today. But it's hard to go far, in my opinion, when you're taking on new clients and new industries every single day. And so for me, niching down made a lot of sense. And I'm just very blessed that I learned that at a very early stage. So we didn't have to backtrack from a legacy agency to a niche agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not an easy path.
Why dirt? Can I ask?
I love that. So
I was like, why dirt?
I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do digital marketing for excavation companies. And whenever I tell somebody new that, they're like, what exactly is that? And why do you do it just for them? So to give you some context, our first client was a real estate agency. We weren't niched down yet. Our second client was one of my really good friends from high school, Luke Payne, and he owned a demolition and excavation company. So at the time, he was probably 24 and I was 25. I'm 29 now. And I was just like, we built his website, and what he was doing was so cool. And they would, fix water lines, they would fix sewer lines, they would dig footings and basements so that the home builders could come in. They would make sure that the ground is flat and to grade. And I just started learning so much about this industry. And shortly after, I got a call for our third client. It was somebody that had seen the ads we were running for Black Iron Dirt. And there was this client out in western North Dakota, and they were in the oil fields, and they had a lot of big construction equipment. They would do cell tower construction, they would do site development, and so we took them on as a client and really became more and more exposed in the blue collar niche. But also, I think there's 3 criteria when we finally made the decision to niche down and into the excavation space. It was one, the value we could provide to our clients was exceptional, because typically they're about 10 to 15 years behind the curve, I would say, when it comes to being online. And so we would all the time we'd bring on a company doing $5 million in revenue with no website. And so the impact we could make on the industry and our clients. Number 2 would be the passion for the industry. I think just helping out the men and women that are truly building this country and doing the dirty work, as we've talked about. And really, when you turn on your faucet, when you flush the toilet, like, where does that stuff go? How does that happen? Really focusing on those people, because they are our superheroes. And then third, and quite honestly, for anyone looking to start an agency, making sure they have the capital, and they're very used to spending money on big equipment. They're used to spending money on software and technology. And for us, it was just, we wanted to work with an industry that was able to pay us for what we knew we were going to be doing in the future.
Yeah. That's so
that last
interesting.
one is a big one. So we've had a lot of small clients, and sometimes they just don't have any budget, and they've never worked with an agency. And so that's one of the things we've looked at from our sweet spot is, if you've worked with an agency before, if you're unhappy with your agency, we are more than happy to help you be happy and get you a good relationship. But I love those 3. I wrote them down so we can hit those at the end in the recap too, because I think it's important. And I think that's kind of good advice for anybody looking for a job. If you can find those things, then make sure you have a budget. I guess make sure the company you're working for has a budget, isn't going to lay everybody off in 5 minutes.
Good point.
That's really cool. I love that so you basically stumbled into dirt marketing.
Absolutely.
I
didn't grow up in construction. And I think working with a client who was a good friend, just respecting the industry and understanding and learning so much more about it, to me, it was a no-brainer in 2021 when we officially launched as that it was our niche. It just made so much sense. But you're right, Rich. We definitely stumbled into it, and this whole world just became known to me of what was out there and what is needed to keep this country moving, and the world, really.
So you're, I know Zach found you on LinkedIn, I think, if I remember right, or has been talking to you about it. So you're a big deal on LinkedIn, I hear. So, um, how did you, I know you're like embarrassed. Look at him, he's turning red. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
I
How'd you grow?
appreciate the compliment, but
You're
yeah, we
welcome.
don't have to go there.
How did you grow a community on LinkedIn though? I mean, was the niche a big piece of that or?
Yeah, good question. And I think this is very important whether you're in business or starting a marketing agency or just like looking to build your own personal brand. Uh, Really, what I did is, 5, 6, 7 years ago, even pre-starting the agency, I always use social media as a tool and it's free. And so, what I did, especially when I started the agency, was if I'm not utilizing this free tool that can reach millions of
Hmm.
people in a second, I it's just not going to work, especially if I'm a digital marketing agency. And so put your money where your mouth is. And
Yeah.
I had a big focus on I want to build my personal brand consistently over time, and I want to build my business brand consistently over time. And I would call them the big four. So my big four would be Facebook, personal and company page,
Hmm.
Instagram, personal and company page, LinkedIn, which is by far my favorite, personal and company page, and then my Google business profile. And so that is one that's
Hmm.
often missed by companies. And
Mhm.
really, I don't have like this crazy strategy. I don't even schedule out my posts. I All I do is when I want to put out a post, I write it out in LinkedIn, we'll say, and then I put that same post on Instagram, on Facebook, and then on my GBP. And what that does is Facebook, a lot of my family, friends,
Mhm.
relatives,
Mm.
residential
Yep.
The
clients will see it.
aunts,
Yep, the
yes.
aunts, the uncles, you gotta hit them. Instagram, there's this dirt world cult, I would say, that we've found of
Oh.
so many construction, excavation, and septic companies are on there, and that is our biggest lead source with the podcast is Instagram. So making sure the same
Fascinating.
post is on there. The third, of course, would be LinkedIn. That would be your decision makers, your association presidents, your project managers, some of the bigger companies.
Yeah.
And then that Google Business Profile is the search engine. So the search engine reading and
Uh-huh.
learning all
Hmm.
about you and your company. And so just consistently posting over the last 5 years has really, really helped. And it's helped me meet people like Zach and us stay in touch with each other and uh, present opportunities like this to be on this podcast and then for future things that we'll do together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It
Wow.
just feels like walking the walk a little bit,
For
where I
sure.
think we sometimes get caught up in
Hmm.
like, is it brand voice? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it spell checked? Is it,
Oh
and
my
like
gosh.
you have to remove some of that in order to stay, like,
Keep, yeah.
especially in a small, small agency
And
world. Like,
honestly, just to jump in here, bring in
Oh,
my
oh,
producer
Zach.
voice
Heck yeah.
every once in a while,
Bring
I
him
would
in.
say, Luke, that you're a great spokesperson for your brand. I think when
mm,
your target audience sees you, they can relate to you, and you're speaking directly to them. So that's something you definitely do a great job of. And I think that's also why you have such a great, like, loyal target audience. And kind of what you said, there's so many of those companies out there on LinkedIn. You really found where your target audience is, and I think you
mhm.
do a good job of really reaching them with your voice. So,
Yeah, I appreciate that a ton, Zach. And you're so right. And I think a big difference, honestly, is people know that if they send Phaser Marketing a message on Instagram, it's me. And they know that because they
Mhm.
see me every day on there. They see me posting. They can tell by my voice in the posts. And I'm very non-corporate. And so the second maybe down the road, years from now, I'll hand that off, but I truly enjoy it. And to
Mhm.
Zach's point, like that is how I connect with the people in the industry
Hmm.
and how they can connect with me very easily. So it's been a huge driver, not only for client acquisition, but client retention, just keeping up with the industry,
Mhm.
landing different speaking gigs with associations, but also just that, 10% of our audience is probably in the dirt world where 90% don't have anything to do with construction and they're entrepreneurs or they're in college looking for a job or they're following me from they live in Minnesota or Nebraska or Arizona. And so I think that's the bigger piece of it too is being focused with your messaging, but also putting it out there so that other people can chime in or learn about the industry or learn about business. And so I've definitely enjoyed that the most, I would say.
Yeah, I think as you're talking about it, like it sounds so simple and obvious, right? Like use the tools that you have. But I also love what you've done, and this is something I've advocated for since like the dawn of social media. And yes, I'm older than social media. Most of us probably are, but
I was like, I think
um,
I am too.
2006, 2007.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
1996 was officially the first social media network, but it's not around anymore. Um, but you have a purpose. You understand your audience on each platform and your purpose on each
Yeah.
platform and what that platform gets for you. And I think that that's something that, you know, one, good for your clients that you get that for yourself because obviously you get that for them too. But I think that's something where somebody can take that advice in any industry or even, like you said,
Hmm.
personally. If you're building your personal brand, just understand how those platforms work differently and who you're talking to.
Hmm.
Um, that's a huge one.
Yeah, and I want to chime in on that, Rich. And to Caitlin's point earlier, don't get too cute with it. Don't overthink it. Just write it out, post it, and then go on to your next one or go on with your
Yep.
day,
Hmm.
honestly. And I think you get so caught up in, is this going to be the perfect post? Is it edited correctly? Just
Hmm.
forget about all that. That's coming from a marketing agency owner. I love this quote, 80% done is 100% awesome. Get it done, put it out there, and go on to the next one. Quit overthinking
That's a
it.
good one. That's
Yeah.
the one I've heard always is done is better than perfect.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I love that. And I believe Dan Martell said the 80% one, so I want to make sure I give
Okay,
credit there.
cool, cool. Yeah, I have no idea who said done is better than perfect, so
Yeah.
I know it was
Rich.
somebody. I was thinking it
I'm
was
a,
Brene
yeah.
Brown, but that doesn't sound like a Brene Brown thing.
I
Yeah.
don't think
Um,
so either. Yeah, I really like the progress over perfection
Hmm.
mhm.
as a recovering perfectionist, permanent eldest daughter. Like there are a lot of things to unpack there, but it is truly just like so much of like my struggle with social media is just getting out of my own way
Hmm.
and wanting it to be perfect to like guarantee that it'll land with somebody, but that's not like there that's not a guarantee. And so
Yeah,
like you
and the
said,
things
just
that land,
put it out there and be yeah. The stuff that does land, you're like,
Stupid.
yeah,
why was it that
you give
thing?
no
Like
effort
what
to it.
did
You
I
just like threw it out there.
exactly?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I had
I did
that
that. Yeah,
exact thing. Yep.
I did that on a
Happened
post
over the weekend.
recently and I ended up ratioing the original poster, like just with a very, very short, snarky comment. Um, but it was fun.
Proud of
I
you.
enjoyed it. Like, and then I kept getting notifications and I'm like, what is going on with this? And I'm like, oh, okay. Apparently people are reading that post and I touched a nerve. So all good.
Whoops. Yeah.
Um,
In addition to like agency owner, former orthodontics professional, you're also an author, and I would love to know about that and how you ended up there.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. So I published my first book in March of 2023, so a couple years ago now, and I think it'll help if I back up even a little bit further on
Yeah.
how and why I
sure.
decided to do that. So in 2021, this I think is important to for the delayed gratification piece. So, 2019 I started the business, and then in August 2021 I had been basically working a full-time job and not paying myself out of the business on purpose,
Uh-huh.
because I kind of have one shot at this thing. I want to make sure that if I'm going to go full-time in my own business, it'll be ready for when I can take that step
Yeah.
onto the boat. And so, 2021, August 4th, I paid myself my first paycheck 2 years later. It's $500 every 2 weeks. Very, very exciting. I still have the check. No better, there, few better feelings than that when you're like, wow, this is something that was a
Hmm.
dream. Then we started it and now it's actually paying me. And shortly after that, November 2021, thankfully, I fell into a mastermind group called the Seven Figure Agency. And in a
Hmm.
nutshell, it is a mastermind group for digital marketing agency owners across the world. And they meet 3 times a year in Miami to do an intensive, but they also have coaches, templates, programs, everything you could need, and of course the community of 300 other agency owners.
Hmm.
And I joined that 3 years ago. Josh Nelson was the main guy that started it, and that group has changed my life. And I think that's super important with everything that we talk about
Yeah.
because the book is a part of their program of they helped provide like a structure, and you should publish a book for your authority to get on stage and speak at conferences. And so,
Yeah.
of
Wow.
course, you're like, yeah, I would love to publish a book. And then they provide you a good framework and trainings. And then, so what I did with that, and I'd love to dive in just a little bit here. He said, you guys, for all those thinking that they want to write the book right now, get that out of your head. You're supposed to write
Yeah.
a book.
A
Like your
book.
first book should be a book. The next one can be the
Uh-huh.
perfect book. And I had been about a year in. I started in 2022 writing it, and it took a long time. And then he said, Luke, you should have this done in 2 weekends. And so I buckled down, and it was a little longer than that, but
Wow.
got it done. And Kindle Direct Publishing, you can
Mhm.
publish a book for free. You can
Mhm.
self-publish it, and then it is amazing. So I published the book, and it goes on Amazon, of course. You can order author copies, so you can hand them out to people.
Mhm.
$3 a copy, and then now, anytime somebody goes on Amazon, they can search "The Digital Dirt World" by Luke Eggebraaten, buy the book, and they print it, they ship it to them, and they send me a royalty. Like that's it. There's
Yep.
no inventory on hand, and it is absolutely
Yeah.
amazing the
We
logistics that they provide.
We're pretty familiar with that. We have a book as well. It's a cocktail recipe book. I don't know if I have it sitting here. Sometimes I pull it up, but it disappeared from my desk. But
Blame the dogs.
yeah, we actually did Kindle Direct Publishing as well, in part
Amazing.
because we looked at a couple of the printers that we use, and Kindle Direct Publishing was just cheaper if we only used it for printing author copies.
Yeah.
And I think we've sold 2 now. We're not advertising it. We're not putting it out there. Although you guys
Put
did
it out
post it
there.
on social
Go
media
buy
I saw
it.
the other day.
I love it.
But yeah, we'll send you one. That's one of your gifts for appearing. with us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
Once your 75 days are up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Start getting the ideas
No,
flowing though.
no, we have
There you
all
go.
of them. We have the
There-
Make It a Mocktail section that gives you
There is, yes.
mocktail subs, and it's not
forgot
always
about
just go
that.
find non-alcoholic vodka. Sometimes it's like, oh, this herbal tea or whatever
In
can be used
tincture,
in
yeah,
place of
yes,
this
yeah.
thing. That was really good. Charlotte did all that research, I believe, if I
love
remember
it.
right. Yeah, and Zach
This
is
is good.
officially the author of our book because he's the producer
Mhm.
of the podcast. I think it has 4 authors. Caitlin and I are just mentioned because we're part of the podcast and we have quotes in there.
Nice.
So, yeah,
I did nothing
Um,
but show up here and
that's
read
really
the
good.
notes, right? Like,
So, and it comes back to like, you have to write a book, not the book. It's
Mhm.
back to that 80% done is 100% awesome. Like, you're just get it out there.
yeah.
And also support, just having people around you who can support and encourage and kick you in the butt, right? It'd be like,
Yeah.
dude, you're overthinking
Get
this.
it
Get
done.
it done.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that everything you look at in our business was help from them. And for example, our podcast, the Dirtbags podcast, we just celebrated 3 years. And that has taken a business of its own, but we have over 130,000 downloads now since starting it, and it wouldn't
Wow.
have started unless we quite literally started February 2022. And it sounds silly to say that, but most of us, and similar to you guys too, if you just would keep pushing it off, trying to find the perfect episode frequency, it's like you just got to say what your frequency is going to be and then run with it
And
and
then
get
do
that
it,
first
yeah.
episode out there.
Yeah. And I think that's a good one. Like if you listen to some of our early episodes, the microphones were completely different. They
Sure.
worked super great. The editing is fine. Zach did a great job of editing it, but we found extra tools as we went along the way.
Mhm.
But the information is still good. And honestly, the graphics were the thing that were spot on from the beginning. The branding was
Yeah.
great. But yeah, and I think same thing with us. Like you just have to put it out there, and if nobody downloads it, nobody downloads it.
It's even
But-
better then, because if it is bad and nobody's listening to it,
Right? You can
perfect,
try again
right?
next week. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and if they jump into the later ones, I've done this with podcasts where I'm in like the year 3, year 4, year 5, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go back and listen to the early stuff, and you're like, oh God, they sucked when they were
it's,
early,
I'm gonna go back to the new stuff. Yeah.
really bad. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's this theme just keeps coming up. Like do it, get it done,
Just,
start
yeah,
it,
yeah.
try it. And that's like, people were like, why did you guys do a podcast? And we're like, we'd never done one before. And we knew at some point a client is going to ask us to do one. So I was like, guys, let's come up with a podcast. And we did a brainstorm on what the name should be. And we like booze, we like to ramble, and we do marketing, and we can solve people's answers and questions. So
Yes.
Cocktails, tangents, and answers. There you
The
go.
end.
it's you know what you're getting when you sign up for this.
Absolutely.
Yes. we put all of our best work into the name and then figure out the rest after the fact.
And then they gave Caitlin and I a microphone, or I guess we gave ourselves microphones, and
yeah.
we just kind of run with it.
Well, I knew that no one else was going to sign up to
Yeah.
put a microphone in their
Well,
face, so I
because you're our
volunteered.
extrovert. Like we
Yeah.
have she's our extrovert. We have
I'm the
everybody
only
else is
one.
pretty much an introvert.
Well, Megan is too, but she wasn't here when we started the podcast.
That's
so.
true. She wasn't. And I hate myself on camera. I did radio for a long time, so I'm okay with my voice and hearing it. But then Zach's like, for
The YouTube
YouTube,
Shorts
being
has
on
been an
camera would be
adjustment.
great.
Yeah.
And we're like, But we just said, okay, like, I'm reading Shonda Rhimes' Year of Yes, and we just yesed it and said, sure,
We'll
let's
do
video.
what we're told. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What is the premise of the Dirtbag podcast?
Yeah.
Because
So,
I just want to sing Teenage Dirtbag.
that's our
over and
theme
over
song.
again.
I'm
Is
just
it really?
a teenage
Do you know the Rustin Kelly cover? I feel like this is going to be up your alley. Rustin Kelly is a.
I don't think so.
He's like well, he has knowing that you are like a little bit younger than I am, but like emo music had a real effect on my youth. So he does like a subgenre called dirt emo, where he like covers. So he covered Teenage Dirtbag, but he's covered like Sand in My Boots, and I'm trying to think, like a Goo Goo Dolls song recently. So that's the version that I hear, but it seems as though it might fit really nicely into the Dirtbags universe.
Yeah,
so
I'll definitely check that out. But
if I can give you homework, but
his albums are Dirt Emo Volume 1 and Dirt Emo Volume 2. Like,
so they're like both covers. It's all cover. Those are cover albums, and then he has like
he's
his
got
own.
other ones, yeah.
Yes, he has his own like.
he was
Married to Casey
married
Musgraves,
to
is
Casey
that the-
Musgraves for a little
yes.
while, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sorry,
like,
I had to look him up.
I assumed as much. But
Every time you've given
he's
me musical recommendations, they've been really great.
Well,
So
there you go.
I will listen.
Yeah.
I've got it up here.
Yeah.
I'll listen when we're done.
Anyway, tell me the premise of the Dirtbags podcast.
Oh, right.
Now that
there
we've
was a
gone
question
on
in there.
Yeah.
So the Dirtbags podcast, and this actually levels out perfectly with what we talked about earlier. So Luke Payne, our first ever client in the excavation space, very forward thinking. He said, Luke, we should start a business that helps provide the resources that these excavation companies owners need. And my brain, of course, I poke holes in everything. And so I said, but that's not just going to be a website. We ended up deciding on the podcast because it's very easy to build a brand, I would say, and say what you need to say on a podcast, have guests on to provide that information, then build the website from that. So him and I went into business together. Dirtbags Media Group is the separate business because we knew that we weren't just going to build a podcast just because. We knew we wanted it to have revenue, expenses, scalability. And so from there, we built it up, and last fall, and he's still an amazing friend of mine. He's still a client of ours, but he was so busy with other things. So I ended up buying him out. And so now the last 6 months I've been kind of running it just by myself. And then we have a producer and then a couple other team members that help with it. But yeah, we're now 87 episodes in. Our main premise of what we talk about on there is really everything, the pain points that they could need, any construction company owner. We're building a library of pain points and solving them through episodes. And so, for example, we might have an construction insurance expert on. We might have a cash flow expert on specifically in construction. We talk about profit first for construction companies. We talk about going from residential to commercial construction. So really, I own a marketing agency, and we talk about marketing probably 5 to 10% of the time on there. It's very little. And really everything else is what's going on in the industry and how can we help from a platform perspective. So it's been amazing. It's been an absolute blessing. And yeah, we have dirtbags tuning in from now 22 countries. And it has been so cool to connect with everyone on the show. But then usually we'll meet up at different trade shows. So Con Expo, it's every 3 years, and people come in from all over the world. And so we'll do a Dirtbags meetup there and get everyone together, do some live shows, and just really trying to bring the industry together with like-minded people.
Well, and I imagine too, like when you're talking about small to medium excavation companies, presumably, right? They're spending similarly, right? They're spending a lot of time doing the actual work of their business. And so like reaching them in their equipment or their trucks or driving to and from job sites, like that's such an easy access point for them when they have 20 or 30 minutes in between things, right? Like
they
don't have time to sit at a desk and read, but they can tune in and listen.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we talk about that a lot of we publish our episodes twice a month on Friday. And a lot of our listeners, we publish it specifically so that they can listen to it on the drive to the job site. And then a lot of our listeners listen in the excavator or the skid steer or the dozer. And we talk about that. And it's like, that is the culture we're trying to build. It's like, if you're going to be working anyway or driving, like you might as well learn something and enjoy it. And so a lot of our listeners, they will listen while on the job. And it's just, it's a little bit more, or it's a lot more educational and beneficial for them instead of just listening to music a lot of times.
It's like, I mean, podcasts are kind of the new radio. Like that's what I listen to in the car almost all the time now. That and audiobooks, or as I used to call them, books on tape.
Books on tape. I know.
It's like, oh God, I'm that old.
I'm driving to doing like a 2.5 hour drive tomorrow, and I'm pumped to like catch up on my back catalog and maybe finish a book. I'm like, how fast can I listen to like really maximize the
2x speed?
I can't go past I can process that fast, but I'm like, I don't retain as much. I'm like a 1.25 is really the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, I'm like 1.5.
Then I do sometimes have a hard time listening to people in real life when they're not speaking at 1. And I'm like, can we get to the
slow?
Get to the point.
Oh my God.
My attention span has been ruined for so many reasons, but I think that my audiobook speed is one of the key drivers.
For sure. Oh
This
man.
was such a pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Luke.
Looking at the time.
Absolutely. I'm glad I got to enjoy a cocktail with you guys on a Monday afternoon.
Middle of the day, right?
1:30, 2:30. This is perfect.
Yeah, we're wrapping up our day. Like it's 4:30ish here. Zach's already 5:30. He's like, I need dinner.
He's got to
get
go.
off this thing. Wrap it up.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So I love the 3 things you said earlier that were just good advice for everybody. Like, look at the impact for the work you can do for others, for the industry, for that type of thing. So make sure there's a need, right? Have a passion for it. Like you have clearly embraced dirt. I mean, you've even taken the term dirt bag, which is like generally a negative if you use that with your friends. And it's a term of endearment for your listeners in your industry, which is amazing. And then if you're doing marketing or if you're getting into business, make sure your audience has money to spend, because if they don't, you will go out of business fast.
Very quickly.
Cool.
Yeah. Excellent. We will be back next week with another episode. Do we know the theme? I don't think we do. It's a surprise.
We don't know the episode. It's a theme. So the one thing with having guests is like we fit guests in when we can fit guests in, but where that's going to slot in the episode release, the last one we pulled way up. And I think
surprise.
We're waiting for your episode of your cocktail choice.
Oh, that's right. Because I was home with like a sick kid, maybe.
Yeah, you were. I think you also had a little froggy throat going on too.
Probably.
But we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe it'll be me. Who knows? Can't wait. As always, you can find our agency at antidote_71. If you have a question you'd like to send our way, you can visit ctapodcast.live, or you can leave us a voice message on our hotline, 402-718-9971, and your question will most certainly make it into a future episode.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to have links to Luke's podcast on here, so that we've got that there from
All the show
Dirtbags
notes.
podcast. Super easy to find, though. Great website, by the way. I looked it up.
Thank
You
you.
probably hear my typing occasionally while we were in here. So give us a call, and Luke, like, you can come back anytime you want to. Like,
Yeah.
we're happy to talk with you about marketing or dirt or cocktails or whatever.
Heck yeah. I
All
love
of the
all those
above.
things. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.